When I became a Christian, I became part of a church plant. So I was kind of born again into a church plant. And I feel like ever since then, that's shaped how I've understood things. So that very first church plant is very missional, and they're all about planting churches, and so that just got in my blood early. You know, the missional church is significant because it's really not another fad. There's been a lot of fads in the last number of years. You could say from the mega church to the emergent church, and some people think missional church is the newest thing. Over the last century, the idea of mission and church have really kind of come together. Missiology and ecclesiology are kind of brought back together, and so now the local church really needs to have in itself like this understanding of what missional means. And we live in a day and age where we have the older generation that was primarily formed by a print society. The baby boomers were primarily formed by a broadcast, radio and TV. And the digital society was more, the younger generation was formed by the internet. And each of these groups of people are drastically different, and our approach to leadership needs to really adjust according to the generation that we're connecting with. In the print age, you could get away with a very hierarchical approach. When it comes to the broadcast age, I think you could get away with a very kind of inspiring approach. But I think if you want to connect with the next generation, you need to read this book and learn the type of leadership approach that's necessary to make the connection to a generation that is both skeptical of truth and cynical to power. And the way to answer that is what the Apostle Paul imagined over 2,000 years ago, a polycentric leadership team. Hierarchical, I think we're all familiar with. You have kind of a senior or lead pastor, associate pastor, and maybe administrator and people who volunteer. A flat approach, I think, by nature doesn't appreciate leadership. Polycentric approach is really in between a hierarchical and flat. It's saying that leadership matters, but it's not one person who is the constant leader all the time, where one person, the buck always stops with them. There's different centers of power. Polycentric leadership by nature is there's a revolving form of leadership. So you could say like a jazz band, it requires people who are, gifted and talented in what they're doing. But like a jazz band, the lead instrument kind of flows from one person to the next, just based on that getting into the groove and making a connection. If you want to learn what does it mean to really kind of live into shared leadership, or what I call polycentric leadership, then this book is for you. If you want to understand the power of culture in shaping us as individuals, and so in other words, if you want to recognize that we create culture and culture then recreates us, then I would say if you want to understand the elements of culture, then this book is for you. And if you want to learn how to embody an approach to leadership that is like a community within a community, utilizing the equippers, but have some very practical ways of thinking about it, then this book is for you. I think essentially it's geared toward leaders and leadership community, people who may lead or apprentice in ministry, but I think anybody could benefit from it.